You know, if I had a nickel for every time a long-dormant franchise about ninjas put out a banger of a Return to Roots release, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice, right? If the funny little anecdote that I said and the montage I put in at the beginning of the video are anything to go by, we're going to be talking about the recently released Shinobi Art of Vengeance. This release is significant for several reasons. Specifically, it's the first release in the dormant Shinobi series since 2011's Shinobi 3D. Fun fact, this series is 13 entries deep as of last week. And it's being handled by Lizardcube, the developer behind the beat-em-up of the decade Streets of Rage 4. Art style and all. And the music is being done by T. Lopez, who also did that game's soundtrack. I feel like that alone is enough to make me flash the go play this video over sign. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm going to tell you explicitly why this game is so good. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Shinobi Art of Vengeance has you once again setting foot into the tabby of series protagonist Joe Musashi. All seems like it's gonna be a peaceful day of training your students until BAM! A bunch of corpo terrorists called the ENE Corporation, under the command of the self-proclaimed Lord Ruse, attack the Oboro clan's village, destroy it, and kill all of its inhabitants by way of magical petrification. And to paraphrase the old saying, hell hath no fury like a ninja wronged. Because from there, Musashi embarks on a 14-level based revenge quest to take down both the ENE Corp and Ruse. What's here is simple, but there's nothing wrong with that, because all you really need in a revenge story is a strong-willed, silent protagonist, a despicable bad guy, and some help in the form of an amnesiac resistance leader in the current Grim Reaper. I know it sounds like that got away from me for a short second, but it actually didn't. The cast starts small, but it expands a bit in the back half in some interesting ways. And it got me thinking about the story and writing and narrative in Ninja Gaiden Ragebound from a few weeks back. Mainly in that this serves as something of a nice companion piece, albeit one that's a bit more self-serious, but it works for what it's going for. Although I do love that with the game being fully voice-acted, all we get from Joe is him giving confirmation grunts. It's low-key kinda funny. I also kind of appreciate that there are bits in the game that have Joe interacting with normal people. Case in point, there's a part in one of the city levels where he has to rescue a trio of hostages, and the kids are understandably all kind of scared of him, mainly because of all the dudes he just brutally killed while in the process of saving them. It's pretty funny. All in all, it sets up a fun revenge story and follows through on it, and the gameplay is super fun as well. Shinobi Art of Vengeance is, like all of the previous games before it, an action-packed side-scrolling platformer. But the main difference here is in the structure. It has a combined total of 14 levels, and each of these levels can be replayed whenever for a specific reason. This game has a bit of Metroidvania in its DNA. Yes, that's right, Shinobi Art of Vengeance has Metroidvania in its blood, but it's a small touch. You can critical path the entire thing without ever backtracking for secrets, which is mostly what I did. But there is a lot of stuff here. Like, a lot of stuff. And in I want to go back after credits roll so I can 100% this subbitch. A lot. And that's the sign of a good Metroidvania, friends. The first thing that I noticed that helped this decision along is that the controls felt good. Joe responds, starts, and stops on a dime, and it feels great to control. The basic movement feels really nice, and it's complemented by a suite of tools called Ninja, aka Ninja Tools, that help you get around. These range from simple stuff like dashes and rolling through enemies to continue combos, to more specific stuff like claws that let you stick to surfaces, knocking down doors, breaking floors, a goddamn grappling hook, and a glider that slows your descent. These all open up the level design and really showcase the Metroidvania processes behind them because, like with the Rogue of Prince of Persia from last week, the platforming is the star of the show. You're darting and weaving and jumping and dashing and resetting said dash, and it feels so goddamn good. The ninja claws are the most important part in facilitating the evolutions in these level designs, because using them to cling to surfaces refreshes your double jump and air dash, and you only get one of each per movement sequence, which is super important to know. And what are you going to be using all these tools to get? Secrets! Specifically, Oboro Clan artifacts that are used to update the shops you find with new inventory. There's 5 of those per level, as well as finding ENE Corp Elite units responsible for the destruction of Oboro Village, 3 groups of those per level, 2 hidden secrets, a singular Onko rift that are super tough platforming challenges, and a partridge in a pear tree. And when you aren't frantically jumping all over the place to get all that stuff, you have combat to fight, because this would not be a ninja revenge story without copious amounts of dudes to murder. While you do the majority of the fighting with your trusty blade Omorozuki and copious amounts of throwing daggers, you have a bevy of combo tools and moves that can be purchased at the aforementioned shops that give you more of a stylish edge. And when I say stylish, I mean it. You can chain together some sick moves. You also have access to 8 different kinds of elemental ninja magics called Ninpo, and superpowered ninjutsu arts that do things like screen clearing AoEs, healing you in large bursts, electrifying your attacks and building up stun, and draining almost all of your health to kill all enemies in a desperation attack. And you will need all of that because the enemies do not fuck around. You got a lot of soldiers and enemy ninja to deal with to start, but eventually they start throwing more of them, better armed variants of those enemies, robots, and of course, demons, because why not? And this is where some of your ninja tools come in handy in combat, specifically the sword dive and cannon punch, because you can use them to break enemy armor. And a huge part of this game's combat is racking up stun, so you can eventually do this sick looking death blow. The bosses have to be these standout encounters for me because it takes all of what works about combat and amps it up to 11. And while they can be a kick in the teeth at times, there's something deeply satisfying about getting a sick combo going, seeing the death blow kanji, and then ending the fight right then and there. It's so good! This game is so good! I don't need to go too in-depth with this if you have eyes and ears. If you've been watching this video, you'll know that Shinobi Art of Vengeance looks and sounds fucking phenomenal. The art team at Lizardcube, led by Ben Fiquette, takes the style they've used since Wonder Boy the Dragon Trap and takes it into a much more grandiose direction. There are a lot of big-time vistas and backgrounds here that look goddamn amazing. Giant fields, burning villages, dystopian tech cities, and quite possibly the best-looking desert in video games are just some of the areas that you're going to in Shinobi. And they all look rad as hell. Same goes for the character designs and animations. Joe and his animations look appropriately awesome. My favorite being the ninjutsu activations because it starts off with him basically powering up Dragon Ball style, and it looks so cool. There's also the music, which is done by T. Lopez yet again, and this time he's joined by Yuzo goddamn Koshiro. It's like the musical equivalent of Dutch and Dylan meeting up again in Predator. It's got the juice to give you the heart-pumping jams, and then strike a balance with enough slower tracks that have you tapping your foot to keep things going. I mean, look, I should not be surprised that a 2D Sega game in 2025 that has Lizardcube working on the visuals and T. Lopez on the soundtrack knocks it out of the park on both of those fronts. I'm just shocked that it happened this many times in a row. I almost kind of want a Sonic game in this aesthetic. Almost. Shinobi Art of Vengeance is unsurprisingly a fucking awesome video game. Like with Rogue Pop and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, Shinobi is a great reminder of an older series that came out and just reminded us of why we all liked it to begin with. While I can't see others taking umbrage with the light Metroidvania structure, I like to think that it gives it some character, but the way that it ties together its gameplay with the other elements of the game to make a package that is, for my money, worth the price of admission. Go play it, you goddamn nerds. And that'll be it for this week's video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hone your ninja skills.